Hey everyone, Rarity Dash here, and it's time for another reaction request. If you have a video that you would like me to react to, check the description below. There's a link that will take you to a Google document with all of the relevant information. So today we've got another Yu-Gi-Oh video from TGS Anime. I looked at one of these before about like a Star Wars Wizard of Oz combination Yu-Gi-Oh theme thing, which was kind of interesting. Definitely not something I knew existed, but it was interesting to learn about. And this is another video by the same creator about another Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, I guess they're called, that I was unaware of. This is the Dragonmaid archetype. So, yeah, Dragonmaids, of course, the only thing I think of is the anime, Miss Kobayashi's Dragonmaid, which is one of my favorites, even though I still haven't seen Season 2. But I don't think this is actually based on that. Maybe it's inspired by it, but like, I mean, just if these are our Dragonmaids, they don't really immediately scream to me any kind of correlation between them and Miss Kobayashi. But yeah, I mean, it's just a cool thing, Dragonmaids. So I'm interested to see what Yu-Gi-Oh has done with it. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Here we go. What is the Dragonmaid archetype?
The Dragonmaid Archetype are a series of all-female Dragon-type monsters whose archetypal gimmick is that they are initially summoned to the field in their human forms, where they can perform a basic task unique to them. Then, as soon as the battle phase begins, they can transform into their true dragon forms, which wield impressive attacking power. Finally, after the battle phase ends, they revert back into their original forms, if the user chooses so. The Dragonmaids were first introduced in 2019's deck build pack Mystic Fighters,
definitely after,
as well as one of the supporting cards appearing in Chaos Impact Special Edition. The archetype appears to take many inspirations for its design, and could possibly be a homage to a anime and manga series. Conceptually, the Dragonmaids appear to be based off a manga and anime series known as Miss Kobayashi's Dragonmaid. It was written and illustrated by a mangaka known as Cool Q Shinja, which translated, his name actually means believer in the religion of cool. That's a pretty awesome name. And while it's not 100% confirmed if the Dragonmaids are actually based on this series, an interesting little tidbit to know is that when the archetype was released, the creator of Miss Kobayashi's Dragonmaid actually posted a tweet saying that he would have to make a deck out of them. And if you scroll through the Twitter replies, there's some absolute gold down there. The story of Miss Kobayashi's Dragonmaid centers around a working woman known as Kobayashi, who, on a drunken night out, journeys up into the mountains and discovers a dragon with a sword impaled in its back. In a drunken stupor, she removes the sword from the dragon and invites it to live with her, but not before specifically requesting that she wears a maid outfit.
You can be my maid! What? Seriously, you can have housemaids, laundry maids,
The next morning, hungover, Kobayashi opens her front door to find the dragon has accepted
I don't think the idea of Dragonmaids was even a thing
dragon
before this show.
A dragon maid, if you will.
It's manga.
And thus, wacky hijinks and shenanigans ensue. So it's clear to see this archetype's inspirations from that series. However, while in Miss Kobayashi's Dragonmaid, one Dragonmaid does the work of many, these Dragonmaids seem to have their very own Dragonmaid mansion with an entire staff of maids that each have their own specific profession. It's unclear whether they are serving a master of the house, like you would see in Victorian era England. If you're a Downton Abbey watcher, you probably know what's up. However, on the other hand, it could be that they draw more from their Japanese heritage, and are perhaps not serving any one master, but instead offer to serve any who arrive at their very elaborate Dragonmaid-themed maid cafe. Perhaps we'll learn more about this by taking a look at each one of the Dragonmaids and see what makes them unique, starting with the head of the Dragonmaids, House Dragonmaid, known in the Japanese as
she definitely looks
Houski, requires one Dragonmaid monster
definitely looks like
and
the
one
leader.
Dragon monster. Her effect is, once per turn during the standby phase, you can target one other Dragonmaid monster you control, special summon one Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, whose level is one higher or one lower than it. When another face-up dragon monster you control returns to your hand, except during the damage step, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. The only fusion monster in the archetype so far, this Dragonmaid is the strongest in terms of attack. Not only out of all of the other Dragonmaids, but also out of all of the Dragonmaid's dragon forms. Sadly, this monster is the only one in the archetype that does not have a dragon form.
So she doesn't even need to transform.
Assume that if this monster is this strong in her human form, she's going to be an absolute beast whenever her dragon form is revealed. In fact, you can see a silhouette of the dragon form in Dragonmaid Changeover. Ooh. Foreshadowing. Each of the Dragonmaids have their own element and profession to call their own. For House Dragonmaid, she's associated with the light attribute and being a housekeeper. You can see a reference to this in her Japanese name of Houseki, which is a broken version of housekeeping. Alright, it's time to learn about the maid profession. Now, the housekeeper is the highest ranked in the maid profession. The housekeeper is responsible for the delegation and supervision of the
I was unaware there was such a hierarchy.
Cleaning staff. You can see illusions.
I mean, I guess it makes sense.
Superiority over the others in the artworks of both hospitality and reception, as she is shown instructing the other maids. In fact, even her first effect is all about calling out new Dragonmaids, as if summoning them as a new task arrives to be solved. The attire this monster and all the other Dragonmaids are based on is a typical maid-style uniform. Modern-day maid uniforms you see, and especially those that you see in Japanese maid cafes, are based on the French maid outfits. Though very iconic, this is not what they looked like back in the day. The design has been revised and modified over the years, from back when maids were basically the norm. Each of the Dragonmaids in this archetype seem to have their own distinct maid designs.
Yeah, there's not any
consistency. For example, House Dragonmaid's design seems to be based on the Victorian English maid designs, which would typically have a much longer apron at the front. Kitchen Dragonmaid, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Tilru. Her effect is, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add one Dragonmaid monster from your deck to your hand. Except Kitchen Dragonmaid.
Probably my favorite
Then
design.
send one Dragonmaid monster from your hand to the graveyard. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 8 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use the effect of Kitchen Dragonmaid once per turn. While Kitchen Dragonmaid's name would have you instantly believe this monster's profession is that of the head kitchen maid, if we look at her Japanese name of Tilru, we can see that it is partially making up the name of a different maid profession known as a stillroom maid. So if we're going by the English name, then this monster's jobs as the head kitchen maid would be to report directly to the cook and assist in the running of the kitchen of the house. She would also be responsible for preparing the less complex foods for meals and would usually cook directly for the other maids and staff of the house. However, if we're going to go by the Japanese name and she is a stillroom maid, then she would be responsible for the supply of alcohol, medicines and cooking ingredients across all the departments of the house. This in turn would make her one of the most versatile maids of the house, as she would be between all of the different maid departments and would essentially serve under 3 different managers: the butler, the housekeeper and the cook. But since both professions are pretty closely related, either makes sense for this monster. However, being versatile definitely fits more in line with this monster's effect, as she is capable of acquiring any of the other Dragonmaids from the deck straight to the hand, making her one of the most powerful Dragonmaids in the archetype. This fact is actually proved by her being the rarest Dragonmaid to pull. Not that I'm being salty or anything, but out of the 2 Mystic Fighters boxes I got, I didn't get a single one of her. I got every single other one, but I didn't get her. Sad TGS noises. Regardless, each of the main deck Dragonmaids also has a true dragon form. For Kitchen, her true dragon form is Dragonmaid Tinkek, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Flammer. Her effect is, cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control a fusion monster. You can only use each of the following effects of Dragonmaid Tinkek once per turn. Quick effect, you can discard this card, then target one Dragonmaid monster you control. It gains 2000 attack until the end of this turn. At the end of the battle phase, you can turn this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 3 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. Looking at this monster's English name, it might seem a bit random. However, it is actually an anagram of the profession her Dragonmaid form specializes in, as Tinkek, when rearranged, spells out kitchen. In the Japanese, however, her name does something a little bit different. It instead references the element of which the monster wields. The name they are given is also derived from the German language. Her name is Flamme, which I tried really hard to pronounce in German, which is German for the word flame. Nurse Dragonmaid, known to the Japanese as
She's pretty cool
Dragonmaid
too,
Nursery. Her effect is if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster in your graveyard except Nurse Dragonmaid. Special summon it. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 7 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use the effect of Nurse Dragonmaid once per turn. Nurse Dragonmaid's profession is that of a nursery maid. Nursery maids are responsible for looking after the children of the manor, maintaining the fireplaces to keep the house warm, and as well as keeping the house clean in general. Realizing this, if you look at this monster's artwork, you can see that not only is she working as a nurse, but her office is absolutely squeaky clean. In fact, all of the Dragonmaid's artworks look squeaky clean, so she must be doing a really good job. Get this lass a promotion. Anyway, her dragon form is that of Dragonmaid Ernest, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Erde. Her effect is cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control
and again,
a
it's
fusion
an anagram
monster.
of nurse.
You can only use each of the following effects of Dragonmaid Ernest once per turn. Quick effect, you can discard this card, special summon one level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand. At the end of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 2 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. If we rearrange the letters in Ernest's name, we get the name of a human form's profession of nurse. Her Japanese name of Erde is referencing her attribute of earth, as in German, Erde means earth. Parlor Dragonmaid, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Parlor. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send one Dragonmaid card from your deck to the graveyard, except Parlor Dragonmaid. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 8 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use each effect of Parlor Dragonmaid once per turn. Parlor Dragonmaid's profession is that of a parlor maid. The parlor maid would be responsible for opening the doors for visitors, making the beds in the house, and setting the table for breakfast, lunch,
She is
and
really
dinner.
cute too.
While
Like,
you
I
can
mean,
see
they're all
she does
cute.
do her job diligently, she also seems to have a little bit of a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
She can be clearly seen in hospitality, taking some
You can-
extra liberties with the sex.
She had a bit more personality
her
with her,
dragon form
maybe.
is that of Dragonmaid Lorpar, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Luft. Her effect is cannot be destroyed by card
Lorpar.
effects while you control a fusion monster. You can only use each of the following effects of Dragonmaid Lorpar.
We just
once per
reversed the
turn.
syllables
You can discard
there.
this card, then target one face-up monster on the field. Players can activate that target's effects on the field this turn. At the end of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 3 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. Rearranging the letters in Lorpar's name, we get the name of her human form's profession of Parlor, while a Japanese name of Luft stands for the German word for air, which is referencing her attribute of wind. Laundry Dragonmaid, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Laundry. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. At the start of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 7 Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. You can only use each effect of Laundry Dragonmaid once per turn. The youngest and possibly the most inexperienced of the Dragonmaids, her profession is that of the Laundry Maid.
She looks a bit overwhelmed.
Washing and ironing towels, bedding and clothes for the whole household, including the staffs. Looking at the artwork of this monster, while inexperienced, she does seem to work diligently, earning herself a very good rest after her hard day of work. Her dragon form is that of Dragonmaid Nudyal, known in the Japanese as Dragonmaid Fluss. Cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control a fusion monster. You can only use each of the following
That's
effects
probably
of
the most-
Dragonmaid Nudyal once per turn. You can discard
Most
this
difficult to
card,
say of
target
all these
one monster
names.
in either graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. At the end of the battle phase, you can turn this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon one level 2 Dragonmaid monster from your hand. Like all of the other Dragonmaids, if we rearrange the letters of Nudyal's name, we get the name of her human form's profession, Laundry, while her Japanese name of Fluss stands for the German word for river, which is referencing water, the same as her attribute. Dragonmaid Welcome. All monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each Dragonmaid monster you control. If you control 2 or more Dragonmaid monsters, you can target one Dragonmaid card in your graveyard, except Dragonmaid Welcome, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Dragonmaid Welcome once per turn. If this card is sent to the graveyard, your opponent cannot target Dragonmaid monsters you control with card effects this turn. Dragonmaid Changeover. Fusion summon one Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. While this card is in your graveyard, it can target one Dragonmaid monster you control, add this card to your hand, and if you do, return that monster to the hand. You can use the effect Dragonmaid Changeover once per turn. Dragonmaid Hospitality. Special summon one Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then you can send one Dragonmaid monster with the same attribute but a different level from your deck to the graveyard. You can only activate one Dragonmaid Hospitality per turn. Dragonmaid Send-Off. Target one Dragonmaid monster you control. Special summon one Dragonmaid monster with a different name from your hand in defense position. And if you do, return that targeted monster to the hand. The special summon monster cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of the next turn. You can only activate one Dragonmaid Send-Off per turn. Dragonmaid Downtime. Known in Japanese as Dragonmaid Relaxation. You can target one Dragonmaid monster you control, then activate one of these effects. Return it to the hand, and if you do, add one Dragonmaid card from your deck to your hand, except Dragonmaid Downtime. Return it to the hand, and if you do, return one spell or trap your opponent controls to the hand. You can use the effect of Dragonmaid Downtime once per turn. And with that, guys, that's another Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype done!
Okay, kind of an abrupt ending, but that was interesting.
You want to start shooting in 3 weeks.
I mean, it's definitely got to be inspired by Kobayashi, because I don't think anyone before that had ever combined dragons and maids, at least to such an extent. Yeah, very cute designs for all the characters in this, and I mean, it seems like a pretty good deck. I mean, I don't really remember exactly how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! There was a time when I knew how, when I was watching the anime a whole lot, which I don't know if the anime was all that consistent back in the day even, but I did have a starter deck, and I believe I played it once with my sister, like an actual match. Yeah, I don't know, but the point is, these look like good cards. I mean, they look cute regardless, and I mean, that's fun. Like, it's a good concept, and it's neat that it got a positive reception from the creator of Dragonmaid. That's pretty cool. But yeah, good video. Definitely I think explained it well, including learned a lot about the maid profession that I didn't know necessarily, which is interesting. But yeah, good stuff. Hope you guys liked the reaction. Let me know if you did, and see you in the next one.